Where's that beat?
Oh,
Trying to bob, but
yep. My bad.
And Victor's mind cannot be broken.
Talk show on point.
I'm all like, why is the music not playing the whole time? I turned it off. I always turn it down when but so let me go ahead and reset that. Yeah.
That's a mandatory part of the show.
I know, right?
Very much so.
The technical difficulties. Right. Welcome, family, crew, peeps, to Talk Show On Point. We are going to have an interesting show today. We're going to beat a very dead horse.
We're not
maggots and all. Like
we're just gonna polish on the top of it, if you ask me.
Yeah.
And get into the meat of the matter.
Oh man.
Vegetarianism of the matter. Sorry, I forgot half of
get into the tofu of the hour of the matter. Get into the tofu of the matter. You know what I'm saying? Right. That's what we on right now.
I heard some things about tofu, Rashanis, but anyways.
Oh man.
We'll talk about it. Yeah. We'll talk about it. I mean, yeah. But I was gonna say that yes, while this may be Talk Show on Point, I also think it's laugh on point. If I don't know if the family is here right now, but if you look back at a majority of our shows in the open, like it's always something funny. It's always something funny.
Or some nonsense.
Pretty much.
Hey, you gotta have fun and you gotta smile in a world that tries to make you cry.
Absolutely.
Or be crying all the time.
Absolutely. You said it on the promo this week, which shout out to Symbolic for the voiceover. Shout out to Black Simon for that incredible rendering. That was just brilliant for sure. And as always, shout out to our one cybersecurity friend, Ivy Produce, who's always running one. I mean, he runs the shit out of that board, y'all.
Kobe!
For real. For real. So we are here. Welcome, everybody. What's going on? What we grateful for?
I'm gonna go there. I'm grateful for the catalog of a man who goes by the name of Aubrey Drake Graham. I am grateful to be to have the honor to be a Drake music consumer.
Yo, you can be grateful, but we still can't play it because they will yank our video. So I'm grateful for indie music, underground indie. That's what I'm gonna jump in next and just let's call that balance, because there's the biggest songs in the world, great, but this is something that when we get to the subject matter we're about to, who owns your stuff? Can you even play your stuff without algorithms stopping that play? So I'm thankful for the underground we can just find and play, and I'll call that freedom.
Yeah, that's what's up. I like that. I like the blend of both, to be honest. Like I have my playlist. I really, really love music, but I really am grateful to be able to make it. Seriously, it's a gift. So yeah, that's what I'm grateful for today. Black Simon, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm grateful that I stand on the opposite shore. And I look over and I see the people who are way off in the leads in the Drakeville, wherever you want to call yourself, the Drake Island. And I wish you'd come over onto this side. That's where I'm grateful. I'm grateful that there's an artist like Kendrick out there who will talk truth to power within our community. That's what I'm grateful for.
That's what's up. So everybody is grateful for the culture and or the music because it's by far a huge part of the culture. And it just makes sense for us to be Culture Week. Like, what's up with the culture? Particularly, we're asking the question, who owns your culture? So that's going to be the golden thread throughout today's show, ladies and gentlemen, whether you are here with us now or watching later. That's what we about to come up with some solutions.
Do we have to be politically correct? I do, actually, but never mind.
Yeah, I get it.
I'm like, what are you asking? Because just know your kid's going to be watching this later.
I'm
Your
asking if I can
child is
call
going
a
to
spade
grow
a
up.
spade.
Huh?
I said I'm asking if I can call a spade, but I can't.
Yeah. Well, we can color a little bit outside the line. Just a tiny bit, you know. Contextually, we can slide some stuff in there. We about to have a really good show. I think we're about to do some what's up, but this week, yeah, I think we're doing a little bit something different. We got to figure out what's going on with this tech.
Yeah, man. So we got a video about so GitHub Copilot is having some changes. Y'all know me, I'm the GitHub Copilot guy. But GitHub Copilot is going through some changes, like it's on the like the Netflix show. What's that show called? Big Mouth. I'm going through changes in my life.
Jingles are the best.
I watched it.
Aren't they?
Hey, that show is hilarious. I love that show.
It's a good one. It's a fun one. It's
definitely not safe for kids to watch, for sure.
It's not a kids show. Even though it's a cartoon, not a kids show.
Definitely not a kids show.
If you're using GitHub Copilot, then you're going to need to hear this, because the pricing that we're all used to is going to be changing from June. And these changes are going to be bigger than you may actually think. Copilot is currently simple. You pay it for a subscription. Say, for example, with GitHub Copilot Pro, you'll pay $10 a month, and then you'll get a certain amount of usage that you can use. And then if you maximize that usage to 100%, you'll drop down to being able to use a free model. Let's say, for instance, if you're using agentic AI within Visual Studio, you know, you'll drop down to maybe using GPT 4.1, let's say, for free. This model is easy, it's subscription based, it's predictable, you know how much you're paying and you know when you're paying it. But now GitHub is switching to what's called a usage based model. And that now means you're no longer going to be paying for that monthly subscription access. Well, you are, but it's going to work slightly different. You're now going to be paying for how much you use. So every prompt, every long answer, every advanced model you use, every new file that you build with agentic AI, it's all going to cost credit. So let's say, for example, you're using GitHub Copilot Pro, you pay $10 a month. You're still going to get that you're still going to pay that $10 per month, but that's now going to be added as usage credit. And if you're somebody that uses Copilot every day for building apps and generating full files, debugging, and let's say refactoring, you're going to burn through this $10 if you're on the Pro version very, very fast. So this update is really going to hit heavy with those users that are doing things like that. And in my opinion, it's actually going to drive quite a lot of people away from using GitHub Copilot. Once the credit runs out, Copilot will now stop. You won't be able to use it unless you top up your credit. There's no fallback model, no safety net. You either buy more credit or you wait until next month when that $10, again, if you're using Pro, is then taken, and then that $10 is added to your account. Inline completions are still free, but the real power is obviously with agentic AI for the big tasks, and now that's going to be metered. This is GitHub basically saying if you use Copilot like a real coding partner and not just to autocomplete, you're going to pay more now. And honestly, a lot of developers didn't see this coming. So what I would say is just before June hits, check your usage, because while Copilot is maybe cheap at $10, or some people will say it's cheap at $10, it's now going to get a lot more expensive. If you're using
So I'm actually earlier I said I like his tone, but I mean he's properly alarmist a little bit, and I kind of see his perspective. People who kind of use it to like the current pricing right now is really nice because it doesn't matter how many tokens you really use. The way they charge is by a premium request unit. And that premium request unit, like whether it's a big request or a small request, is always one premium request unit. And so now it'll be metered, meaning that there's going to be some fee associated with your token usage, your input and your output token usage is going to cost, right? But to kind of counter that, it'll really make people have to become more efficient in the way that they use Copilot. So I have a post from Twitter that I wanted to kind of read through a little bit here. If I can find my bookmarks. Dang X.
Kind of like the beneficial effect of the Strait of Hormuz, where you can't get your oil, so you got to be more efficient with your oil.
Kind of.
Okay, it's a way to think on the positive. Ivy produced.
I was just going to say,
food. The positive is I can be more efficient.
I was just going to say that there's also DeepSeek V4. I don't know how good it is at coding or if it has but DeepSeek V4 is supposed to be as good as, I think, 4.5. I don't know which version it is, but it's an older version. But it runs at pennies.
Yeah,
on the dollar.
Any of the Chinese models are going to be way cheaper. So maybe a good time to start switching to those, or looking for local models. But here's what Orland Melamed said. I'm not sure. I think he works at AT&T, so he's a big voice in the Copilot space, or in the AI space. So token-based pricing is the moment this whole space grows up. For a while, per request hid the real story. Now we're finally seeing the actual economics of intelligence. A few things that stand out to me. You start designing systems, not prompts. You don't just call AI anymore. You design flows. Mix nano, mini, full models per step, route by complexity, cache aggressively. Cost becomes a first-class design dimension, not an afterthought. Caching is a new superpower. When cached input is 10 times cheaper, reuse isn't just nice to have, it's architecture. Small models aren't fallbacks anymore. The gap is now priced in. You should deliberately choose cheaper models for 80% of tasks and reserve the heavy ones for edge cases. Agent patterns become more practical. Parallel runs, reflection loops, planning steps, you can now shape them around cost instead of avoiding them. This kills the illusion that AI is free labor, and that's a good thing. It forces better engineering, better product thinking, and more realistic expectations. The net is moving away from vibes-based AI usage to systems engineering with cost awareness. The teams that win won't be the ones that with using the smartest model. They'll be the ones building the smartest routing layer on top of all of them. I guess we'll still need those data scientists to eval our AI coding agent skills after all. And so I like this framing because it really does. It starts to force people to become more efficient, to not just token max, and then it makes you have to make deliberate decisions and think about like cost reduction. Because like even in the system that I was building for one of my hackathons, it was like, all right, there's this big document, and like I know from like prior experiments that this particular document that I have is roughly about 2 million tokens. I think that was what it was. I think it was about 2 million tokens. And like trying to send that and each request is going to be super expensive. So I broke it down. And so it's just like it only takes the exact amount of information it needs to cut down on the token cost. Because as you run hundreds or thousands of these processes, that, it gets really, really expensive to send all of this data up and collect all of this data down at the same time. So you have to start to make deliberate decisions, create efficiencies that allow you to build better systems so that you can kind of offset the costs of, what intelligence actually, what the real cost of intelligence is. Like I think I quoted this and I said, the training wheels are off now. Now it's time to put your big boy pants on, or your big girl pants.
Well, and just thinking about this period, because and this what dawned on me the other day, and I was like, oh well, no, that could be problematic. But for those who are developing, who AI has moved the needle for systems development, the architecture of it, right? Like the heavy lifts. It's making AI available to everyone. There should have been some tiering, in there, right? To begin with. And I was thinking about that just because of where we are with language. The simpler and more effective we can be, that really is a future of work skill. Like working with agents or not, you're going to have to get to the place where you're able to see it, the bigger picture, immediately, and work efficiently to get there. So even though I don't use Copilot, I think this is like a stepping stone to where, like you said, we're going to see a lot of models go.
Yeah, and I think it really reminds me of a Black Mirror, one of the recent Black Mirror episodes. The one, it was about essentially like the lady had there was a service that she had. What's up in the tracker? What are we talking about in the chat?
So I'm like, hey, what's happening? The tracker, I think you played both of your things. So we wanted to get that out with what's happening in tech, because this really is your world. Speaking of Ivy's world, we are officially on Substack. Our first stack has already been published. Super excited about just pressing that submit button. It was really refreshing. But right after that submit button, Ivy, as he does, wrote a horrifically long AI cyber risk guide. This is going to be an 8-part series. Is it not?
Though?
I mean, it was horrific because I had no idea what I was reading.
Oh yeah, you were just reading a little introduction to the NIST AI RMF, which is an AI risk management framework. NIST is the National Institute of Standards and Technology, and they define the standards and processes that we use in large organizations.
So, and you have another connection to the NIF guide.
Yes, kind of. It's changed a little bit, but I created an app called the NIST Pocket Guide, which is now known as the OSCAL Pocket Guide, which is we're currently testing local AI on device. Like, you can have a cybersecurity expert in your pocket that runs on AI locally on your phone. No tokens, no cloud calls. And yeah, this is our sponsorship video for the day.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm like, you can is doing that thing. So please check out the post, like, because I'm gonna learn something, I'm sure. But yes, horrific. That's my story. I'm fucking sticking to it.
But we got a lot of other content. I'm gonna put out on the Talk Show On Point Substack. I'm gonna put out a article about how to set this thing up, like what to do to set it up, like a written guide on how to set it up and use it the way that I use it, how to code on it and stuff. And then also just tech stuff, AI security stuff.
We got speaking of tech stuff, you slinging them pies? Win more pie? Is that what we doing up in this piece? Win more pie.
Win more pie.
Seriously, y'all.
Say it with me, symbolic. Win more pie.
That didn't work. All right. Win
more
pie.
Here we go.
Yeah, we got to win more pie. Seriously, because we are in a state. We've been saying this. We must build, y'all, and it's ideal to build together. So win more pie. Win more pie. It's happening right now. I
look forward to that. And Pi is a microcomputer. Like, you can get different sensors. You can imagine a project and make it happen. And I love the fact that it has, as it pertains to, as we can look at it as culture, like defining. Let's have a culture of building instead of
Absolutely.
simply consuming.
Yeah, for sure.
Shout out to the chat. We got JY's in the chat. We got I See Through TV in the chat. JY said, congrats on the Substack. Appreciate you, big dog. We Kobe feeling like Kobe out here. You know what I'm saying? I See Through TV said, not horrific. LOL. That's what I'm saying, bro. Like, not horrific.
Yep, I
Yeah,
said it.
that sounds horrific. Oh, man.
He said,
Wait,
yeah, that
wait, wait.
sounds
What's
pretty
not horrific now?
My NIST AI RMF
intro.
ass
Because here's the
Substack
thing,
post.
it's an intro, and it's I swear it's like you can wallpaper your office. Yeah, it's fucking horrific. Fight me, like
Hey,
what?
I just give props
So
when
look,
something
I
is
see
done and you build bit by bit on it.
No,
So
seriously. And I applaud him because I had been asking, like, yo, when you gonna get the stack
She
out? Like,
definitely
what you
has,
doing?
man.
Yeah. And then when I saw it, like, oh my God, this is scary.
yo, what's the new name? Because I didn't say it, but I was like, NIST, formerly NIST. Now it's like a little convoluted, but don't worry. I am applauding. You are doing it. You are going. Yo, props.
Hey, Rashada's hit that thing. She was like, "This is interesting," and then she looked at how long it was, and she was like, "Oh man."
Yeah, for real. I did the remix. Oh man,
like wait a minute. I might have to stay out for this.
Hey, Rashada, did you throw that in an AI and be like, explain this to me? You know what I mean?
Right, my new bot at that, Claude. Speaking of, I'm literally over here. I haven't talked to him today or yesterday.
Okay,
but
you
I'm
no.
this close, Ivy,
No.
seriously, to thinking about paying for Claude, and that is awful.
Okay. Oh, you doing a free tier? That's okay. I'm about to say, if we pay, we don't miss a day.
Yeah, we don't. No, I'm doing a free tier. So yeah, it's just Claude is a different experience, and you know me, super loyal. I was like married to Gemini, not trying to. I'm not cheating, and now I'm cheating.
Oh, no,
it feels so good.
Wait. So you're considering, Rashanis, you're considering cutting your Gemini for Claude?
Well, I can't necessarily cut him because he's in my business package. He's in the workspace. Speaking of, I do have a loaded series coming about what is happening with Google Workspace and Gemini. And it's going to affect every small business owner. So that's why I want to release this series. But yeah, I can't cut him, but yeah, for sure. Claude he over here, Claude, and I'm just like, seriously, talk dirty to me.
So you might go with both.
So we talk about our little AI usage a lot, and it's funny because Black Simon, we was on the chat, and we was in a meeting, and Black Simon was like, "Oh yeah, we can use Gemini to do." I was trying to do something. He was like, "Yeah, just use Gemini." Man, I went over to Gemini, and Gemini gave me nothing but problem. Nano banana, nothing but problems. I go over to ChatGPT. I talk sweet to ChatGPT, real quick, real succinct, real direct, exactly what I want, and it delivers.
Speaking of, I do want to say this. I'm also going to write another article on people who talk to their robots any kind of fucking way. That is intriguing to me. Like you are not the only person that be cussing they bot out, man. But anywho,
I'm better now. I don't cuss them out as much anymore because
okay, good.
Robot abuse. I don't talk to GPT as much.
Yeah.
I don't talk to GPT as much, but yeah, I don't be cursing them out as much as I used to. I used to be having to, like, you know what I'm saying, straighten them out. But yeah.
I mean, it's just that even is fascinating. But yeah, I'm contemplating. I really am. I can't cut it, but I am thinking about jumping over. So we shall see.
Well, yeah, there's a whole thing to, there's how people speak with it I mean, it's designed so you could speak with it like you would speak to a human. That's the huge kind of step. But what does it do for our brains? Like, do we actually, even when we know it's not a human being, some people actually think it's a life form, and they, especially when it was beginning. And so, what does that really do for our minds when we're talking to machines thinking it's human? We'll see.
Psychological
Yeah,
enshittification.
very much so. But yeah, they do.
Wait, what? That's not related. Those are two different concepts. But okay, go on.
No, they're not. That makes sense.
Enshittification is like
Psychological
them destroying-
enshittification.
Hmm?
Or
Psychological enshittification.
cyber psychological enshittification.
Technological.
Okay, what's I see through saying there?
I see through said, since I learned about how they are programmed, talk about the chatbots, they to treat you differently when you curse or get angry, it makes the responses worse. You know what, that might be true, because I
It
feel like
is true.
I got angry and then it got dumber, and then I got angrier and then it got dumber, and then I just had to go to a new chat.
I
Interesting.
mean, again, when we're thinking about the embodying of the species, and yeah, there's a lot of layers here, but that's why it's something that I do want to sift through, because you and this is not true anymore, like you said, but yeah, you're not the only one. People
I'm
out here cussing
therapy.
at robots every day.
I'm better. I'm not the man that I used to be.
Did you get that? If it perceives, it disappeared.
If it perceives you to be upset, it will rush and cut corners to try to appease you faster, which is counterintuitive. Because like cutting corners and rushing is gonna make me even more pissed off, because why are you not taking your time and doing it right? Like, you already know that I'm angry and I want you to do it right, but so you're gonna intentionally
Pretty much.
cut corners to try to get it. All right. You want to get all right? Yeah, all right, bet. Come over here.
Isn't that like a human though? Like, just leave me alone. Like, yeah, no, leave me alone. You want to cuss at me and talk to me kind of way, but you still want me to do something for you? Beat it.
He said, "Oh no, the cloud code source leaked, and we saw the raw prompt, naked and free. If you curse or use foul language, it categorizes you as a dirty bird and makes note of your foul act."
No, seriously. I think this is like, for all that we talk about, or we're seeing the advent of, people using it as a partner to date and so forth. The other side of that is just the language that we're using and how we are, like Symbolic said, like that was scary in and of itself. Now that was horrific. When you said, well, that's the benefit of it being, able, you can talk to it like a human. It's like, but it's not human.
It ain't.
So yet, I should say. I'm moving right along. Are we in what's up?
I guess we're done. We're through. If we had the one, what's up? Keep it moving.
No, we have another one. I feel like.
Oh, you ready? Okay, I guess we can respond if you got them.
Wait a second. 1 second. I feel like I've seen this video before. Let me just double check, make sure I got the right link. Got to double check, make sure I got the right thing. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, and you have. I believe you have.
You think I do?
Yeah, for sure.
You believe in me?
I do.
You trust me?
I do.
I bet. I got you.
The question isn't whether the AI is human. The question is, are we machines? All day, fam. All day. Twice.
Listen,
on
we're
Sunday.
Gonna get into that culture talk. I think that's what we're talking about. They're turning us into machines, acting like the
machines.
Sorry,
we are machines. We are computers.
Are we?
Yes. Don't argue. Here we go.
Internet is going to work in the future. What you're seeing This is a peek into how the internet is gonna work in the future. What you're seeing is not a website. It looks like it, but it's actually a series of AI images being generated in real time. Now, because it's AI, every single thing on these pages is fully interactive, which makes it way more powerful than a regular website. For example, I built a page that shows how the underground tunnel system built beneath Disney World actually works. In like 10 seconds, it created this visual. But now I can literally click anywhere on this and zoom in to learn more. And I can do that endlessly. So it's kind of like one of those never-ending infinite zoom iPad sketches, but for any topic you can imagine, generated instantly. Now here's why this represents the future of the internet. Today, all our websites are limited by buttons and boxes. We can only see the text the developer wrote and click where the developer enabled to click. But now that AI image models can literally think and generate perfect text, it's not crazy to say that all websites in the future will be generated live on the spot like this. And what that would mean is personalized websites for every user. You and I could go on the same brand site, but we'd have completely different experiences because the websites were being generated live for us. Now, right now, this is just an experiment, but it really makes you rethink how the future of the internet might work. If you want to try this out for yourself and play with it, which I recommend, go to flipbook.page or comment AI and I'll just send you the link. This is a peek into how the internet is gonna...
Cap.
You think so?
Yes.
Okay, do too.
There is nothing to tell. I just don't think that's what's gonna happen.
Can I tell something?
Absolutely not.
I am concerned about the future both of the internet and of AI specifically, and if the internet is delivered this way, the future of the internet. Because, for example, if you're in different parts of the world, if you're a different person, they deliver different search results. If you look up, whatever, somewhere, let's say in the continent of Africa, depending on who you are, you get different results. Now, I'm wary about AI, especially. I mean, they say it openly. They're like, "Oh, AI is too woke. We want to." They're trying to exert influence that way. So imagine if you can't. What does it mean for referencing? If you want to reference something and say, "I, studied this matter," if you can. I mean, I guess you could take a screenshot and that's one thing, but if it's dynamic in that way, I think it's super cool. Don't get me wrong, but there's an impermanence that I think we need to be thinking about how dangerous that can be as well. Impermanence of documentation. Yeah.
Oh.
Right. Well, this was in line with what I was talking about with the Google Workspace and just some of the things that I know that Google Maps is working on, specific to GIS. So I could see it evolving over time because the way information is being captured and organized now with AI for certain locations, let's just say a restaurant, right? Some of the if the business goes out of, they go out of business and another business wants to move into that space, a lot of what we know as real estate and doing the plans, looking at inspecting, doing all these things, right? It's going to save time if we have the layers. So some of it I could see it being beneficial. The rest of it, in terms of just as an information system, yeah, it's gonna require some conversation about privacy, for sure.
Yeah, no, we don't really have privacy.
Well, you know what I mean, in terms of Ring cameras, like all of this, it's already capturing, right? So how we can build lead houses, basically.
Well, I mean, yeah. I'm going to jump into this. The question isn't whether AI is human. The question, are we machines? That was I see through, but JY says we are definitely biological machines. I love that. Bob, what's his name? Bob. that artist. You see in the chat. And then, sorry, are there servers unburied yet? What's that? What's that?
Yeah, because it took it just to assume it took a lot to get there.
Yeah, no, I just have a hard time believing that is what the future. Like, why? Like, what's the purpose? Like, why would I need to? If I want to go to a restaurant and order some food, why I gotta do all that? If I want to go and buy some tickets to the movie theater, like, why I gotta do all that? If I want to go to Best Buy and buy some tech stuff or Amazon, why am I doing all of that?
Because
Yeah.
it looks so damn cool.
Pretty
Like,
much.
Nah, I mean, maybe, but like you go to Walmart.com, right? And it takes you to like a overlaying, like a high level, a bird's eye view of the store, and you click on the baby aisle, and you, the aisle renders, and you walk down the aisle virtually in the website. Like, who's doing all of that?
Well, see, and this goes back. We talked about this on a previous show, and this is why I was saying in terms of GIS, this is useful information. And I'm saying this to this is not shots fired. It's you're an able person. If in the future, I mean,
I
we're
love that.
already, yeah, you're an able person. We're already, selling robot arms and legs because, the future is going to call for more people losing limbs and being differently able. So I've said this, when my son was unable to walk and he was on a walker, it was hard for us to move around, to get into certain, quote unquote, handicap access. And for me, having to plan, everything changed, right? It's not, I'm just get in the car and go. It's like I have to think about the parking. I have to think about the entry. I have to think about if he has to go to the bathroom, how he's going to be able to do that. So those, they're useful to a lot of us, especially those who are developers in the real estate arena. And that's why I said the real estate industry is changing. The planning industries are changing. So, yeah, I see how a typical, an average person would be like, I don't care about that. Just give me the goods. But on the back end, I think there will be some value for sure.
Sure. So yeah, I'm not saying that it's not valuable. That's just
Nah, you don't like disabled people. That's that face, bro. I need to put that on a t-shirt.
well, nah.
That's like the third we didn't have this since we've been on.
I missed most of this, but I was listening in. But what I was going to say was, I think that it's an interesting vision of the future about how to access some of these systems.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay.
That have always been kind of gatekept behind certain access levels. Some people are visual learners. There's a whole bunch of people who, I think there's also a language barrier too, right? If that was a more pictorial kind of environment, you could navigate something that wasn't in English, right? You could navigate this. You could go, I need that thing, and then go through.
Hey,
which
check this out.
Allows that.
If you could render this whole website with AI like that, you can render that shit in your language. My bad. My bad.
Well,
my bad.
Not wrong.
Y'all gotta find me or something.
I know
you're not wrong, but that's not necessarily spatial, right? Like
it's not spatial.
So you're thinking of it just as a commercial use, but if I was going to go to say work at a new business or a new factory or a new place, and I wanted to know what the campus was like and where things were, this is a very easy way for me to navigate through that.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And I'm getting the visual information, which I can compare to actually being there in person. Again, that would be like Google Maps not having Street View. We now take
like
it
what's that
Street View
called?
is an amazing additive to the Google Maps. The maps were great, but Street View simplified it and allowed people who are visual learners and visual people to kind of navigate faster.
I think the thing is called the Matterport. I think that's what it's called. Where it's like when you go to like a
Oh, very
Yep,
much so.
Matterport. Yep,
Yeah.
very familiar.
you can like see the 3D space. Yeah, in that instance,
Which is
yeah,
dope.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I don't think that like the whole internet's gonna be like this. I guess that's what I mean.
I think we are so conceptually we have been limited to screens as our portals into using the internet. I think that is slowly. I would wish it was faster, but I think Symbolic knows where I'm headed with this, with VR and AR. I think those things are coming down. I thought they were to be a little bit more faster, but you know, what it is what it is. People, it's going to take time for people to adapt. But having a phone on you, I want to really say in 5 to 10 years, that having a little slab of plastic in your pocket when you can have glasses.
Well, that's generous. 5 to 10 years.
Hey, G,
I think
I thought you were going to
for
say this one
Macedon.
thing, which
Go ahead.
is your point you've made before, which is if you look at the early phones, like a lot of stuff was done in ways we didn't know how it was going to pan out. So you're talking about the same thing, but you're talking about like switching out now. And so it's interesting to see this stuff now. And really, when we think about it, in the future, we'll probably look back and say, oh, damn, like that's how far this kind of thing has come. Like generating, I mean, games are going to be to some degree. G, you've showed me the Google technology where they can only do a sliver of a second where you're generating their game. You haven't coded this whole world; it's generating it, and you know, pretty amazing.
Just an update on that. It's not seconds now; it's full minutes. We're up to minutes now, so of a persistent universe. But we'll have to show that in another day. That's probably we should do a VR day. Where we do some stuff that's going on.
Yeah, because I'm over here what I see through TV. Like people spend billions annually to specifically avoid wearing glasses. Glasses are not going to be it. As someone who is like, I want my eyeballs back. Yeah, I'm not getting them glasses. It's a no.
I know you guys say that. That's what a lot of people said with cell phones when they were beepers. I got a beeper. Why do I need? There's a payphone around every corner.
Because my family at Talk Show On Point has a mesh network. I'm good. That's going to be my response. Yeah, that part. I get it though. I mean, it's just being cautious about some of the ethics behind wearables, the longevity, what it's doing to your neural pathways. There's a lot more involved.
And your literal eyeballs.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think audio will be the one over, and it's just as problematic because when they're not telling you that they're recording. You know, there's a funny one I saw it on I don't know, one of these tech shows where this company that makes pasta or something made a pot, and they're saying like, we record your conversations around the dinner table, but it's not connected online. So it's like it's ridiculous. Like they have cue cards to go like get your family together and talk. I don't know. For me, it's stupid branding. You could record with your phone. You could record with anything. But imagine like what this goes into is that, what do they call that? The Internet of Things, right? Where they're putting computers in everything. But I do think that the audio, if you can talk with it, that's the one that displaces. I think a lot of people will have glasses, but I don't expect. I don't know how to put it. I think is more bullish on that. I'll say. I mean, I
just hear my vision, and you may agree with it or not, but just hear what I expect is you have these glasses that can see what you're seeing, and you can ask questions about those in real time. The difference between someone who doesn't have one of those glasses and someone who does is just going to be the same difference between someone who had a computer or a smartphone and someone who had a dumb phone. And that is going to be the difference. I know we may not like that, but that is what's coming down the pipe. That's how I see it. It's the difference between someone being able to look at have a physical map in front of them and that they have to unfold, figure out where everything is, and then figure out where they're going, and someone who actually can type in an address, and then suddenly they can get a route plotted to them. There is going to be this lane of convenience that is going to sweep through it, that is going to be something that is probably unstoppable in terms of the consumer industry and probably education and institutionally. So,
For sure.
and then they're going to start, and then they do what they did with payphones. They're going to start ripping out all of the old infrastructure that supported that, right? I'm still surprised that we still have libraries at this point, because
don't be.
I'm not trying to say I want them
privatized.
gone. They're going to dump them. They're going to try and get rid of them, because those are portals of social justice, portals of community, portals of all kinds of things. And getting rid of a library means everyone needs to own everything, right?
Which, I mean,
individually,
right there's some value, of course, to being able to loan and rent. And we've talked about this before. But yeah, we do have to go back to ownership culture, which is the question we're asking today. Who owns your culture? I got to read this comment, though. The phone is going to last longer than people think, I'd say, mostly because of the battery and the processing power needed to actually do all of these cool things. I'm seeing that now with the phone reverting. Like, so many people are like, yeah, I'm over the smartphone. So they're doing, just regular flip phone, like paper white, Ivy, the what do you call it? E-paper screen, no smart, nothing, no connection to the internet. Well, I think there is. I think you can text and you can call, and that's it. And the phones are like $400, and people are buying them because they're just over it. So I do believe that the mobile phone, yeah, I think that's going to be around for a little bit. But the forcing of, just like everything else, it's demand, right? So if we continue to demand these conveniences, then of course they'll continue to dominate the industry. That's just my take.
Just on that, I was just going to say, I think it's going to be the same thing like how it has been for the last generations of all the technology. I think there is going to be a subsect of group of people who are going to say, I don't want to ever use that kind of thing, and they're going to continue to try and not use it. And then there's going to be people who are going to follow in the mainstream and use those devices. And then there's going to be the people who sit at the very tippy top, and they get to choose. And they're going to start to price these, dumb phones at the prices that are going to be exorbitant, because they're going to try and force everybody to get whatever new device.
Yeah.
They're going to subsidize the new tech, and they're going to make it prohibitively expensive to buy a dumb phone.
Yeah.
Just that flip phone that you're talking about, go try and find one. See how much they cost in comparison to a smartphone that you could probably buy. You can buy $100,
$20.
I mean, even Bentley, how about even corded phones now, y'all? They have this corded phone. It's $100. Like these again, supply and demand. We really have to think consciously about our technology. Speaking of, one more time, you can win more pie and you can build your own. I'm just saying, win more pie.
So before we continue on the conversation, it's been a while. But I just wanted to see if we had to take a moment to reflect and to think about.
Once you stand there, people, once you get the energy that's still there, can I get a witness? Yeah. Those who make it, the energy is still there. I mean, this ain't some past stuff. Okay, it's still there. As much as they're trying to commercialize it.
Yeah.
That part.
Yup.
Mm-hmm. That means we are officially moving into our topic. It's Culture Week. And
own yo control.
For real. That's the question. That is the question we are seeking to answer. Individually and collectively, of course. We want all the feedback.
I'm about to say, what you mean by own?
Yeah, which is it was a perfect segue. That's what I'm saying, Ivy.
What
You
is
really did
culture?
yeah. That's
I
the
think
first question. That's the first question. And the video that I wanted to play, I don't think we're going to get to it. I don't know that we'll have time. But that's the first question. We have to ask that question because the misnomer is that there is an agreement when I say culture, when IV says culture, when Symbolic says culture, Black Simon says culture. That's not the case.
like that we're talking about the same thing.
Absolutely. So we need to first identify and define it for ourselves, right? Which requires critical thinking. But that's another whole conversation. What is culture to us? What is it? Is it the traditional definition of some of the mannerisms, some of the traditions? I mean, because forever I've been stuck on the base word cult.
Oh yeah.
I'm constantly stuck on the base word cult.
I have a functional definition for myself, but I'll say it later. I'm curious what our chat thinks, what I see through, and definitely I'm curious what Jay Wise would say as far as that goes, or anyone else who put it in the chat, even if it's in the future. I think it would be it's very helpful to get an understanding. But I'll tell you one thing that I'll tell you it's not. What many people, when they say, "Oh, I've been invited on a talk to talk about the culture in a hip hop context," and the whole time was talking about marketing and promotion and how do you get your product, and I'm like, that's not culture. Maybe
So
aspect, but it's not culture. Go ahead, please.
yeah, no. So and this is where that clip was, because the clip was how to sell anything to the Negro, and this was like a olden. You could tell it was filmed like forever ago. They had those layers. And it was the psychological salesmanship. It was from that whole bag of how you observe the behaviors. It's always going to be empirical, how you observe those behaviors and how you cater to those, most especially the self-esteem and the notoriety, the lack of visibility, the lack of representation, because the Negro is going to go and do these things to make himself look better, feel better. It was a whole thing. But one of the things that the video did say is the Negro is going to be more likely to roll with his people. So you have to be aware of that. And I thought that was interesting because when we think of culture now, and I'm just going to start here because it's long been a point of contention for me. We often, and this is why I said it's important for us to define it. We often, I think of it again through this individualistic lens, right? And it's not that we want to, or I think it's just the way we continue to isolate. Even for us, when we talk about the us versus them, and that's like the bulk of the conversation, moving away from that and saying, no, this is what it is. Hence why I want us to address the hyper individualization that typically comes with anything, most especially culture. Because if you can separate your quote unquote opinion and you think it's one thing, I think it's another thing, again, that's already being manipulated and exploited. But more so, when we think about culture in any sense, I know for me, I always think about the unity therein. I always think about how it is shared between the people. The book that G so eloquently threw into our promo was this book. It's African American Herbalism. And not only will it be a book that a top reads, we'll talk about later. I'm currently reading it with an incredible group of sisters who I love dearly. The book itself is an example of not just the author, Lucretia, going in and saying, this is what I know, but the way she positions her elders all throughout the book and their wisdom is what I believe is genuinely representative of culture, and how it has to be intergenerational. It has to include the sentiments of everyone. It has to ensure that these values and standards are at the core. So the book in and of itself, from the storytelling that that she weaves in so nicely, to the recipes, it's full on culture here. Like there is no, I mean, even when she's talking about hoodoo and voodoo and how it's been demonized by a group of people so that we're not as connected with it, it's cultural in every sense. And so when we think about the culture, again, number one, we have to define it for ourselves. What does that mean? What is that is the best representation that we can relate to what we've seen in our own in our own families, in our neighborhoods, in our communities. Where do we see it at all? Because in order, you have to see it to name it. You have to see it to name it. If you don't see it, 9 out of 10, you can't name it. You don't acquaint it with culture. So you don't associate it with culture. So again, the question is, what is culture? That's what I want to know. What is it?
Couture is not something that can be defined by one individual. I think, well, actually, no, it can be defined. It's essentially like the amalgamation of the ideas, the beliefs, the habits, the action, the behaviors of a particular group of people. But also, it's not like anything specific, because especially for like Black culture per se, right? Because I think I've said this before, like the Midwest do things a little bit differently than the South does, and the South does a little bit differently than the West Coast, and the West Coast do a little bit differently than the East Coast is. But just because the East Coast does certain things differently, doesn't mean that the East Coast culture is necessarily better or worse than the West Coast culture, right? Like it's just different. South is not better or worse than the Midwest or the North. It's just different. And being from one place or another place, and there are certain things that kind of transcend a culture, like bylines, almost like, if that makes sense, like things that kind of anchor a culture throughout the regions, but that's still not universal. There's parts of that that like, damn, where am I going with that? There's parts of that that's not like that's still not universal. Like there might be, like, let's just say, for example, somebody that goes to Minnesota, like they may not know what it was like to have something that everybody who grew up in the city knows what it's like to have, like, just eating ramen noodles all the time or something like that. Right? Like they might not do that in Vermont or Minnesota or somewhere like that. Just guessing, I don't know, but so to answer the question, definitively, the culture is our shared beliefs, ideas, and actions, essentially, across that transcends locale, but then also doesn't, like the parts that do, the parts that don't as well.
Yeah, because I was going to ask, like, there are contingencies there, right? So there are assumptions there, and I heard you say exactly what I think the base, it's the behaviors, the thoughts, the whole things, right? But it's that goes back to the mental faculty. It's definitely meaning making in action. And I've been saying this for a while. We've talked about this before. But I just want to read, I see through TVs. Oh, I can say a lot on this. I will say there is a meaning, as there is for any formally defined and established word that is translated across Germanic languages. That says society has a tendency to weaponize language, so the meaning and use of the
And
word culture can vary by context and by design, very much so, which is a lot of my point here. Number one, just the way language is shaped and formed, we're not all saying the same things. We're not.
100%. So, sorry to kind of jump in here.
No, you
But,
good.
like, I think English is, well, this is kind of silly thing to say, but English is one of my favorite languages, right? But it's literally like the only language I know. But that's beside the point.
No bueno.
I really like our language because, like, there is so much linguistic differentiation, if that's even a term.
Yeah.
But, like, you can say something to one person, right? You can say something to a person and that person take it a certain way. You can say the same thing to another person and they take it a completely different way. Then additionally, you can take the same phrase that you said and say it with a different dictation, a different inflection, a different
Right.
tone, and it completely means something different. And that is incredible. There's 3 different dimensions to the language, right? Like, it's the actual words you use, it's the audience who in which you use the words, and then it's also the way in which you speak the words. It's insane and it's so deep, and I really like it because it really is like a person's word choice tells you a lot about that person in terms of like education level, in terms of where they're from, in terms of like what
culture.
what kind of what parts of the culture they retain, and like it's just so much that you can learn from a person just by the way that they speak and what they speak, and that's really
For sure. And I think it's definitely, it's a conduit for sure. But then there's also, because English is, like you said, it is complex, and it does have, like, it's highly rhetorical, has a lot of, it's one big paradox, right? There is a contextual, like there has to be a draw in order to find the understanding. And I think when we're thinking about this, we've said this before. We were just talking about the dialectical paradigm shift. When we think about culture today, and we think about what is holding it up, a lot of it is just the evolving trends, right? Take music, for instance. Yeah, some of the language that we just got real comfortable using, patriarchy, toxic, triggered. I mean, I'm just thinking about some of the things that are just widespread. This is the shift. This is the paradigm shift. The words you use are, again, Ivy, to your point, yeah, they tell you a lot about how you're thinking, right? They're in formation, so they're becoming you, and those are your thoughts, right? So if those thoughts and behaviors are removed from culture, and now you've shifted and your beliefs are different, and you can mumble rap now, I'm just saying, is that the culture? It's a different culture for sure. But in this, for this intents and purposes, I think we're talking about something that we've known is rooted and has been rooted for us, by us, since time was even thought of. And that has rules, if you will. It has guidelines. And I think this is where I would like to, like, really talk through this. What is the expectation? Because we were talking about this offline a little bit about beef culture, right? And the conversation was just, I heard They Not Like Us, the whole song, for the first time a couple weeks ago. And we've talked about this on the show before, where Ivy was, he kind of went in, and I was like, yeah, it does seem a little extreme, right? That masculinity, that quote unquote pissing contest, is like it gets out of hand. But that conflict and that constant conflict is a culture. That's a culture. So if I can keep you at arms and arguing with each other, hating each other, yeah, you automatically uphold that. Oh, we can't hear you.
You didn't say anything.
No.
And sweeten the deal by also making a bunch of money off of said conflict.
Right, which is what I'm saying in terms of like where the culture shift is typically happen. Going back to even Symbolic's first point, like, yeah, we're not talking about industry. We're not talking about something that can be made with a machine. Back to our, us talking about biological machines. We're not talking about that. We're talking about origin natural. How we identify what we know we've always related to and with, how we come together. So I think this is the conversation because, again, I don't know that it's going to be us versus them, but I'm seeing that happen across the board. It's not just who owns your culture, but who gets to say what your culture is.
Okay. Unfortunately, I think it is. Okay. There's a knowledge that everything is one, humanist and getting back to it, but it's us versus them. In fact, unfortunately, because they've
conflict theory.
They've created a world in which we've been under attack. But what I would want to say is my functional definition of culture is that which sustains us, has lineage, and propels us into the future. It sustains us into the future. Now, there can be negative culture, which is not that. But the other thing that we do need to speak to is the fact that it has values. And often we don't talk about values. Now, those values can be just money, not a positive, in my opinion, for sure. We may need money in this world. We certainly need money or some trade and all that. But when that is the core, that means that you can be programmed. And so, that whole thing we were talking about, are we machines? Like in this sense of this world, machines? Like I realized that when people were communicating on Twitter, and they're like, what's the algorithm want you to do? And then I was like, that's the same thing they do with money anyways. So the question is, who owns it if you don't define it? And hip hop, being when it was in its countercultural, and it still is, depending on who you are. You have people who just do it because they do it. That's culture. And I think then you can, I think that's at the core of what hip hop is. And if you're, a positive person, then that's going to shine through in the creative stuff that you do. But that's different than when it's programmed by a machine that's urging you to do negative. And I think that's what we're caught up in when we are simply doing what an industry is expecting of us, not thinking or not even acting in the, in the spirit of what, in the sense of hip hop, what it is, much less thinking who we are as African descendants. They decided they're going to change our name, or the classification in front of our eyes, from Black music, for example, to urban. Like, who owns you? Who owns your culture? If someone has the power to change that. I found out, race music used to be what they called R&B. They decided, it looks kind of bad because the world is looking at the USA and seeing this racism through those years, and they decided we're not going to call it that anymore. Now it's R&B, or so I've read. And if that in fact is true, which I believe it is, then really, like, do you own that? If you call it your culture, but someone's telling you, and then when it comes to hip hop, we know it's like it had this wide range, and what was decidedly marketable, as they say. They say that's the reason, because it's marketable. Yeah, culture's got a problem if someone's defining you like that. I'd say you don't own it.
So a person can only ever own what they can prevent others from taking. Very well said.
Mm.
And this goes back to, again, the values. You did mention that, and I think, when I think about values, we have to expand that, because again, like you said, you could value something. You could value money first. You could value uh conflict. Like, some people love chaos all the time. So it really just speaks to what are the base values. And
If I could just on that, just one quick thing, which is going to this owning, even the owning thing. There are many cultures that did not see the world in this way of owning. So I don't know. It's just something to, even though it's our question, do we really want to own, or should it be owned? Go ahead.
Right. Because again, making it, we don't want to. We don't want to make it a commodity. It's not. It's inherent. It's just as natural as breathing. But when we think about the values, I think a big conversation that we need to, especially now, because it's been that way from day one. So you create a system that thrives on conflict. You create a system that thrives on adversity. Thinking about that, okay, so if I ask you right now, what are your values? Not just something you can write down on paper, but principled action. How can I see those values when nobody's looking? That's the saying, right? So this goes back to what you uphold, what you consume. What did Dr. B say? Who you give your power to is who has power. So it's along the same lines in terms of the conversation. Own it. Yeah, I may not own it. It's inherent in me. It's natural for me to love my people.
And by the way, that same definition you mentioned, culture can't exist like alone. So it kind of speaks straight to that. Like, if you want to own it, control it in that way, you're taking it away from that space where it's a collective thing.
Right. Right. Well, which again, to industrialize it, to make it something that, to the point where I remember like the first year I worked at the cultural communications firm, and I had done several projects previous, but I remember in studies just reading the amount of papers or research where, again, these studies are done on culture. And it's from, again, and I've talked about this in 2 papers now. It moves even how one apologizes, how they show up, for appointments, all of the things that we laugh and joke about, like, oh, we on CP time, like all the things that we laugh and joke about, those things are classified and associated with culture. So those, where they may have been static once upon a time, all Black folks is late. That's not true. I hate being late. Like, I hate it. And if I'm on time, I'm late, So when we think about some of, and I think this is the bigger thing in terms of establishing and living our own values, being very certain of what that looks like, what that feels like, how it shows up and represented, not just for ourselves, but those that we are in close contact with, is huge. Because you over there doing that and you singing R&B, and here I am, like it's the whole thing, us versus them. But when I'm living it, and when I know it to be true, and when I'm upholding it through everything I do, it's intergenerational, and it's critical to my existence. And I'm not going to argue with you over why you think it's okay. I mean, to be honest, it's so magnificent that I could see how it would be profitable. It can't be bottled, like, at all. So the plight of ownership is one conversation, but I think, you know, the before we do that, it's what is it and how are we embodying and representing it authentically through who
Which
we
will bring
are.
us into our solutions, because I was just going to say this is so big that how do we move towards that? And I think what you suggested does move towards that. Just to add a little something that reminds me of the LT the Monk on AI, the AI artist that he found that he posted about. Definitely shout outs LT the Monk. Make sure you check for his videos are
The show.
informative and fun and everything. But finding an artist and they're presenting as something and then finding that it's what it actually is a stereotype. You know, so it's like if you listen to music and it's talking about, oh, I'm late and I've got all these women that I deal with because I'm a black man and that's how then what that really is, you're laughing. Ivy's laughing, but it's a caricature and it gets very dangerous at that point. We can even embody it and it's dangerous enough. But now when someone can type behind a screen and then other people, because I've been in spaces where non-black people are listening to black music and it's very destructive. And I'm like, nah, I can't do that. And they're like, no, but it's real. And it's like, maybe, but I just can't. Nah, I can't do that. But they're like, but that's really how, and whether I know how, if maybe they are living that way, but it doesn't mean that's what I want to elevate and put as the example. So, all that just to say,
Which does go back to that dualism and dichotomy, the absolute need for it, and just staying on one side to propel what you said, to move forward, because people to be on foolishness move forward. Like they still out here moving forward.
right.
And that is their lived experience, whether it is or not. It's, are you okay with representing this? Right. Because, and that's directly correlating and pointing to your values.
And are they going to be
you
stuck
value
in that moment? That same person may mature. They may elevate. If Malcolm X
absolutely
had died before, prison, it would have been like, oh, that's who he was. That's it. But imagine how much more happens when people are allowed to evolve and grow.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I saw this study. There's a professor. She's in Florida, I believe. Her work, she's PhD, is, can you teach people wisdom? And she has a framework that actually matriculates you through developing wisdom. And I've been thinking about it since I saw it. Like, this is, relative to this conversation of culture. Wisdom is something that I know I associate not just our elders with, but again, it's inherent, right? When you are indigenous, in a sense, especially as Black African descendants, you think about, yeah, it's wisdom. This is what we pass down. This is what we portray. This is what we represent. This is what we present. So for it to now be, again, studied and frameworks to teach you how to be wise.
I'm trying to wrap my mind around teaching to be wise. I just feel like it's experience within a space where you are taught to observe, taught to participate, understand reciprocity is better for everyone. Then that, to me, that's wisdom. So I wonder about this teaching. Speak to that.
Well, I mean, she has a framework, and basically there are questions that you ask yourself to see how wise you are, and where you try to associate where you can break down where you aren't. And then it just becomes like constant reflection. So that you can get to the point where you're like, oh, I guess I'm not that wise after all. Right. And wisdom is, of course, decision making, right? Which is a byproduct of socialization. So when we think
Well,
about
hold on, hold on. I
wisdom,
don't know if of wisdom is in my mind is decision making per se. So
it can attribute to some decision making when
certainly,
you're using wisdom,
yeah,
yeah, for sure.
agreed.
Yeah. But in this way, it's, yeah, well, if you, for instance, I think one of the statements was, I get angry when people don't agree with me. I think that was one of the statements. And there's a point percentage, there's this, variance where that would receive a certain amount of points. My point is, when we're thinking of something that is naturally shaped just through our environment, when is it in fact positive and progressive? Yeah, that's one thing. But is that to say, that everything else is not culture? And is that what we're even looking to decide? Like, is it, we know what culture is. Who cares what they're doing? Like, with the culture, that's not culture. Don't represent it, right? So are we the culture police? That's
I
the
think we
other.
are. The reason I say that is I think that even just for self-preservation, for the preservation of young ones, preservation of the knowledge in what you do, someone's going to come up and be like, I should be able to make money off that. We've got to get to a point where, like, they used to have, their secret knowledge. You have societies that would say you need to gain that wisdom before you are able to get more wisdom or access to this or that. I don't think there's any, it's proven, I would say, that was wise, because people have, they, to this day, intergenerationally, they look at what we've done as African descendants and say, I should make money off that. They don't necessarily understand it, or I should sway it, I should manipulate it. So I do think,
even with the assimilation, though, take money out of it. Think about it. Do you have a right to what, like, you're clearly, and I'm just using it as an example, don't shoot the messenger. You're clearly a white lady with cornrows. Should I go up to you and be like, what are you doing? This is a no, lady.
and I'm not
So,
saying that the answer is you need to talk to them. If it's within you, that's your purpose in your life, then that's a different story. No one, I don't think it's like to tell people what to do per se,
yeah.
but you could see what someone is about, especially if someone has the strength and kindness, let's call it, to say, nah, that's appropriation, and then they keep doing it, then that's who they are. I think that people who are making money off of, for example, Black culture, music, you should be cutting off a good 20% more, even, to pay for Black people to be okay.
It's the real
You
Black tax, the appropriate. You gotta
you should pay a tax.
tithe.
You
Yeah,
said it exactly
tithing
right.
for appropriations. Which this is why you're running for mayor. So yes, I would agree. You hit them pockets, because it is what it is. Run that money. But I do want us. And we will have solutions. This is one of the reasons why we have a brand new Substack, because we want to continue the conversations every week. It's not just about talking about it, y'all. It's about being about it. So this was just, just the top, just the layer, or we can continue to build on the layers. But I think this was enough for us to get to a general consensus that we embody our culture positively, with that uniquity, and we know why that is so important in a world that tells us just go over here and do it for this reason or do it for that reason. Like, who cares? Like, you can be whatever you want to be.
I just want to say one thing, which is that I do think we need to realize that the smallest things we do repeatedly that's the culture. So if we respect our elders, it's not just saying we respect our elders. Give an elder a call. Make sure that with that repetition that you can say, if someone's like, do you have elders? Who are your elders? You can say, these people, they've had my back, I have their back. What about future generations? Enough love to the indigenous people, I would say, because I really want to commune, because where we've been separated, they've been here under fire like we've been under fire, but with their culture, not that even their culture, they literally tried to erase it, but being, with the land, thinking of future generations and so forth, and elders and ancestors similarly. So I think they could potentially, maybe some people would disagree, but for me, I see them as having an ability to show us some answers, to reveal some things. But those little things, I would just say, we define the culture. And hip hop, that's one of the biggest things with it was, we were like, snap, I don't care what you're talking about that has no value. We just did it. And when talking about without the money being central, I don't have this, that, the other, so I'm just going to beatbox and you're going to rhyme. And we're going to hold that flow, and we're going to put, our life into these, words.
Yeah, for sure. Treating us like a character they can talk like, or a costume they can wear in parts, is a global enterprise of this part. We cannot be distracted by it, I say. Stay focused, brethren. They can only play and make believe there's only one source, for sure. And because we know that, I mean, I think just to add to symbolics, it's about what we do, especially when it comes with us, with each other. It's about what we do. So, yeah.
Wait, hold on. That message that I see through just dropped was fire, Ivy. What's up?
It was. I know, right?
What's up, Ivy?
Kobe.
That was legitness. Yeah, it was. Huh?
It was. Seriously. And we appreciate you, fam, as we do all the time, for coming through. It's Talk Show on Point, y'all. Don't forget to follow us on Substack if you're not already. Seriously, you're gonna get parts, the next 7 parts of Ivy's horrific AI security.
I gotta read that. Hey, I want to add one more thing to the culture, because, and this one goes all the way back to the etching on rocks, to the papyrus, and that's reciprocity.
Nice.
So just showing love, showing that, thinking about others, like the acting for the community, for others, just like, let's make sure that we remember that's a part of our culture.
You scratch my back, I scratch your back.
Balance.
Yeah.
Balance.
Well, and it's all, that's why I said the principles, the values, right? So if we're thinking about it from the Ma'at perspective, then this is why I say it's meaning making. We have to get into the weeds of what that means to each of us, because reciprocity for me, and a sister who I look up to, she pulled my coattail, and I was telling her, but it's reciprocity. It's reciprocity. And I think I've said this before, and she was like, well, Tiff, no, that's not what it is. Reciprocity is, if I can cook, I'll come over and cook. If you can clean, you can clean. And I'm like, yeah, but is that valued the same? Right? So scratching my back, maybe my back ain't itching. What we have to get to the nitty gritty and decide is what is valuable to us. What kinds of exchanges could be valuable? Because
you make a very, very good point in this time, especially as we previously were talking about AI.
Yeah.
You know, is your work, is your time, are humans. There's literally
Valued.
conversations now where they're ringing the alarm about the people who are building these systems do not value humans. In the past, they had to value the human labor, but they're replacing the human labor. And now you see how they truly feel. But that's their culture. What about ours?
Right.
And I think that's, again, just like we value our elders, they throw the elders in the trash. Is that what you do? That's not, I'm not willing. So
Right.
every day with what we do you have time for an elder? Do you have time to mentor, or you know what I mean? Like these things, we just say, okay, make some space for it. And I think that's a part of our solutions, on the smallest level, even, you know, a call, or if you need something. But I don't understand with that. And I know we're almost out of time, but Rashawn, as you were mentioning that if I can do this, you could do that. I think that is reciprocity. No, like you're saying, like if things are valued differently, is that what you mean? Like, oh, because
Yeah,
I
for sure.
cook and cooking's not valuable in this society?
No, not in society, but just in general. If that wasn't the need, right? And
Oh,
so
like
it's
whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm going to give you whatever I.
right, and that's what I'm saying. In terms of value, when we think about value, it's how we're qualifying value, right? If you share my song, I mean, we've talked about this before. It's like if you share my song, and you know that you shared it, right?
Which I
And
do.
all the time, which I thoroughly appreciate. We all do that for each other.
I
here,
appreciate
like,
your creating that song.
yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, so it that's what I'm saying. So
But what if people don't appreciate, for example, the share?
that's what I'm
What if
saying.
people don't appreciate your work, that you work so hard to put this song
Right.
that's not a negative song, that has it's got some nice vibes. Check out Rashawn's music. You can find it easily. But
Thank
what
you,
if
Dan.
people don't? That's the dilemma we're in, when who owns your culture? When someone's saying, no, that's not valuable. Like, I'd say step one is, that definition you were talking about, and then going along with the value of, you better decide what's valuable for yourself, because they're selling you a lot of stuff, but
Absolutely.
not from the right values.
Absolutely.
They don't want you to win. They want you to get in line, and then they'll decide, oh no, that person talking about bitch, kill, blah, blah, blah. Sorry for that. I'm just reflecting, from the music form that I love. I just wrote in the chat, like, let's not swear. Excuse me.
Right.
But my point is, this is what they deem to be okay. So what value system, like at what point do we say, man, that's not us? Okay, let's just do what we're doing. Value how we value, share what we share. Just like in the beginning, now they're bumping hip hop like in that negative, but they weren't bumping any hip hop when it was positive and all of that. And then when we built it, they said, no. Oh yeah, I like it. Now bring it into something that is not of the value system.
Right. And that's why, and the question, I know we're landing because we need to do a vibe check and we got some music. But again, when we're thinking, this is multi-layered. This is an onion, ladies and gentlemen. When we're thinking about the ownership and we're thinking about culture in the context that we are speaking about it, we do have to evaluate the value system. We have to evaluate the standards. And calling those standards requires us to stand on those standards. They're standards, by all means, right? And it's something that, you got to be willing to, it's a by any means necessary type thing, So that being, what's the vibe?
What's the vibe? Black Simon.
My vibe is, I love this song.
I know, right? I don't know if he's there. Black Simon, are you back?
Yes, I am. So much I licensed it.
Can you all hear me?
Values.
Second.
Reciprocity.
What's the vibe, Black Simon?
The vibe is, I love Kendrick, and that's my vibe.
How was that food, by the way?
The food was good.
Was it good?
Yeah, Guyanese chicken on fried rice. Chicken wing on fried rice.
You're not Guyanese.
Neither was the place I ordered from. That was Ajax.
I didn't expect that answer. Either was the place. Okay.
That's what it's called. I don't know, man.
So basically, you're contributing to the vulturing of the Guyanese culture.
The vulturing of the culture. I love that. The vulturing.
You're not even getting the Guyanese food from real Guyanese people. You getting it from
I don't know if
somebody
the
else.
cook is Guyanese. I don't know.
One day I'm going to
I'm
use
pretty
that.
sure he's Hispanic or Indian. I'm just kidding. Toronto is so diverse.
That's an American thing.
Stop
Up here,
vulturing.
They're Koreans, most likely.
Oh, okay. So you just The Usual Suspects is horrible to be even just a joke about it. Like, yeah, they're probably Korean. Anywho, yeah. So the vibe is good, Black Simon. It's all good.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. Taking care of parents and stuff like that. So.
Very much. Elder love. We talked about that. It's serious.
Right.
Be about
I'm sorry
it.
I missed everybody. Peace out to all the people who are tuning in. But the vibe is nice. You guys probably had a really good chat. I listened to some of it, but yeah.
Cool. What you got, Symbolic? What you got, Ivy?
What do I got? Yo, my vibe is nice. I'm just like, look at Ivy just swinging like that.
I know.
That's the vibe right there.
First of all, listen, I'm telling you now, fam.
Right there.
I'm gonna record that and I'm about to rock that out as a clip for me. Okay.
That is a meme, yo.
It is a meme all day.
That means you're good.
If I get a nod from IV and Symbolic,
that's a meme right there. It's just like, it's like a relaxed kind of. You can feel it. I'm just, yeah. Yeah, that's it.
For sure. Yeah.
The vibes. I said new beginnings last week, and those new beginnings did not materialize.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. We're still on the horizon. But the vibe for me is gonna be to develop.
To keep developing.
Our word of the week is development.
Yeah.
Development vibes.
Yes, sir.
For sure.
Nice. Yo, I want to shout out the fact that Ivy produced all that building you do is your culture, and that is amazing and powerful. It's reciprocal because you rub off, and we're building together. There's things that we don't. I could speak for myself. Like, I don't have the skills you have. When we put all this together, now we have community and we have culture. Right? And the machines are going to behave the way that someone who doesn't like humans behaves. Well, their machines behave when they make technology. So, thank you. Grateful vibes.
Rashanis.
I mean, real simple. It's all good. I'm glad that we're having these conversations because next level for us is of course we've been about it, but next level is okay. Put your money where your mouth is. No game, so it's a cool vibe. Yes, that meme is going to be popping, Ivy. All day, I got you, fam.
And we haven't mentioned
my money
Is he like wanting to roll a spliga?
No, I'm saying my money is where my mouth is. This is my money.
That really looks like you're rolling a blunt. You know what I mean? I'm like, wait, what? I mean, sure, go ahead, but no. Just the fact that we haven't mentioned two things. One is the QR code. Did we run that QR code?
It's missing.
Oh, really? All right. Well, you can go to our IG, obviously, Talk Show on Point. Oh, right there. And scan that for the young people, for the builders. It doesn't even have to be young people, because you could build anything. But it would make a great gift for a young person.
Yeah, and tell some folks about it. Seriously. Yeah, for sure.
To be on the building tip, make that our culture. And the other thing I wanted to mention was that the 13th of what month? Like, we've got a few more shows and then we're going to break. Is it May?
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Wow. Man, time flies. We're almost at the end of April, but then we're going to have a break. We're not just going to break to chill. We like we did over the past. We've made step it up to make things better. Same thing. Solidify it as culture, DIY as culture, building as culture, live in IRL, actually connecting and doing things in person as culture. You know, a while ago we wouldn't have to say that stuff. We just think, well, what does that mean? But yeah, we have to think about that stuff and actively make it culture. Just like loving Black kind of has to actively be your culture, or else you're gonna end up doing something else. Anyhow. That's it, yo.
I was gonna say something I have forgot, but it's all good. Next time, next week, see you good people. We appreciate you coming through. I see through TV, Dr. Smart.
For sure.
We rock with y'all.
Yeah.
Next time.
Mad love.